Hi, everyone. Today I want to share something that will be helpful for anyone who ever feels overwhelmed, stressed, anxious, stuck in a negative thought loop. Get where I'm going with this? Anybody out there feel those things ever? If you never feel those things, please come talk to me because I would love to know how you avoid ever having any of those situations. But if you do resonate with any of those feelings, then I'm going to offer some grounding exercises that will help you when you get in one of those places emotionally where you are feeling overwhelmed, stressed, anxious, or stuck in a negative thought loop where you might be saying negative things about yourself or replaying a negative story. So, grounding exercises are intended to bring us to the present moment. And what does that mean? Well, when we are feeling stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, we tend to be either ruminating over something from the past or worrying about something in the future rather than being in the here and now. In this moment is the only place we can actually be. So, worrying about whatever happened or ruminating over whatever happened in the past or worrying about what could possibly happen is only going to create those feelings of anxiousness, of overwhelm, of stress, or negative thought loops repeating. So, grounding exercises. We have lots of different options. We have physical grounding exercises. We have cognitive, which means we use our mind, grounding exercises. And we have sensory grounding exercises, which means we're using our five senses to bring ourselves to a grounded place in the present moment. So first, I'm going to talk about some physical grounding exercises. One of the number one grounding exercises physically is one of the easiest ones to do, and you hear about it all the time, but it is focusing on breathing. And the reason that people talk about it so much is because you don't need anything in order to be able to do this. It's just right there available to you. You have a heart and lungs and a breath to take, and so all you need is right there within you. And all you're going to do a grounding exercise with breathing would be to take in a breath for the count of 4. So you want to inhale for a count of 4, and then you want to hold that breath for 7 counts. And then you're going to slowly release it for a count of 8. It's called a 4-7-8 breathing technique. And that's all you need to remember, because the 4 would obviously be the breathe in, the 7, the hold, and the 8, the release. So just try that a few times, taking in those breaths, holding them and releasing, and notice what happens in your body physically. As you're doing that, you're not going to be focused on whatever it was that was stressing you out, because you are allowing your body and your mind to actually relax and really take a breath. Because even though we're always breathing to exist, most of the time when we're stressed, we're breathing in a way that is too shallow. It's not getting us enough actual oxygen to have our brain functioning properly. We need to really take those deep breaths when we're in those high stress moments. So doing a breathing exercise is going to bring you into the here and now. Another thing you can do is EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique tapping. And I actually have whole videos on that on my website. You can go to jennifer-riggs.com. And there are videos on there, and also on my YouTube channel, Jennifer Riggs, and on my Facebook, Jennifer Riggs Mindset Coach. You can find these videos on how to do EFT tapping. And what that involves is tapping on points on the hands, face, and body while saying what you are feeling. So if you are feeling stressed or overwhelmed, you would tap on these points, and it looks like this. You would be saying, I feel overwhelmed. I feel overwhelmed. I feel overwhelmed. As you're doing the tapping, you're also going to naturally begin taking deeper breaths. It just sort of happens as you begin to release and acknowledge the feeling that you're having, because previously you might just be kind of having this sensation, this feeling over and over that you've got an emotion, but you aren't really dialing into what it is and being aware of what it is. So this gives you the opportunity to actually say what it is. So I'm not going to go through this whole process here. You can go ahead and look for the complete video because it does take a little bit of time. for me to demonstrate that whole process, but it is a really great physical grounding exercise. Another one is you can do a progressive muscle relaxation. And what that involves is tightening and releasing muscle groups in your body. Because what you're doing is you're sending a signal to your brain that you are tense, that you are, kind of in this stressed place by tightening those muscles. And then as you release those muscles, it sends a signal to your brain that, oh, we're relaxed now. We're relaxing. And it sort of takes you off that track of whatever it was that you were ruminating over or worrying about, bringing you back into the present moment by tensing and releasing. So you would start with your forehead muscles. So you would kind of like tighten your forehead up, kind of scrunch your face up. You're going to tighten your forehead up really tight. And as you do that, you're going to hold that for 15 seconds for a count of 15. And then you would release those muscles in your forehead for a count of 30. And then you would go down and you would tighten your jaw muscles. So you're going to kind of clench your jaw really tightly. And you're going to hold that for a count of 15. And then you will release that for a count of 30. So then you would move to your neck and shoulders, and you're going to kind of like hunch your neck and shoulders up. So when we're stressed, we are naturally doing that. Our shoulders kind of climb up to our ears, right? So you're going to purposefully do that, and you're going to exaggerate it. You're going to do it even more than you would normally be and tighten those things up in your neck and your shoulders, holding it for 15, releasing for 30. Then you would go on and you're going to take your hands and you're going to tighten your fists up, and then you're going to put your arms around almost like you're giving yourself a hug, but you're doing this so tightly, and you're going to just hold those muscles for a count of 15, and then you're going to release them for a count of 30. Then you're going to move down and do your legs. So even as you're just sitting in your chair, you're going to tighten your leg muscles, your quads and your lower legs. You're going to be just tightening those up, your calves. You're going to tighten them up, hold them for 15, release for 30. Then you're going to do your buttocks. You're going to tighten your buttocks for a count of 15, and then you're going to release those for a count of 30 also. And move then into your feet, and you're going to tighten your feet muscles, and you're going to release them. And so you might be tightening them into the floor or into your shoes, just kind of gripping your toes down. But as you release them, as you've gone through this whole progressive muscle relaxation, you will notice that your body has begun to relax, which has gotten your mind to relax, taking you off that negative thought loop and bringing you back to a more centered, balanced, calm place. So those are all physical grounding exercises. We also have sensory grounding exercises, and this is a really good one to do. You can do anywhere, and no one even really knows that you're doing this. This is where you're going to use 5 senses. You're going to look around your room, and you're going to count 5 things that you can see in the room around you. You can count big things. You can look and say, I see a pillow, I see my dog, I see the light switch, I see a lamp. Or you could go into more minute things. I see a piece of lint on the floor. Whatever it is, just dial into those things that you can see around you. Then you're going to go and find 4 things that you can feel. So it could be the table in front of you. It could be your jeans on your legs. What does that feel like? It could be that you kind of feel your blouse, your top. What's that? What's the sensation? Like, what is the texture? Just anything that you can actually physically feel, the way your body feels in your chair. You're just going to kind of get a sense for how does this feel. Then you're going to listen for 3 things. 3 things you can hear. So 3 things you can hear around you. I hear my dog snoring. Hear a car going down the road. You hear a noise down the hall. Just what is it? 3 things that you can dial your hearing into. Then you're going to find 2 things you can smell. Maybe there's a candle on your desk, Or if you're out somewhere, maybe you're smelling something, somebody's cooking something, whatever it might be. You're just going to find two things that you can smell. Maybe you smell your soap or your perfume, whatever it might be, two things that you can smell. And then the last one is one thing that you can taste. So if you have a drink nearby, even if it's water, to take a sip and just notice, what does that taste like? Maybe you had a mint a little while ago, or a piece of candy, or maybe you brushed your teeth and you can still taste that. So you just want to notice, do I have a taste in my mouth right now? So that is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. These are things you can see, feel, hear, smell, and taste. And by dialing your senses in, you are bringing yourself back into the present moment. See, we cannot be thinking about these distressing thoughts, the things from the past, the things that worry us for the future, the negative thought loop. We can't do that when we are focusing our attention somewhere else. So it is taking the attention off the thing that is distressing us, that's overwhelming us, that is creating stress and anxiety for us, and we are putting our attention somewhere else. So that is the goal in all of this, to bring yourself back into this present moment and pull yourself away from those negative thought loops. Another thing you can do as a sensory grounding exercise is you could just hold an object. Maybe there's a rock and you pick that up and you hold it in your hand and you say, this rock feels really heavy, or it's cold, or it has a rough texture, or maybe it's very smooth. Just start noticing it. Again, pulling your attention away from the distressing thing to something else. Because once we bring ourselves back into the present moment, when we are back here in this present moment, then we can think in a more clear way. Without clarity, it is very hard to solve something, right? It is very hard to change what we are thinking because we are still on that negative track. So we want to bring ourselves to the present moment to find clarity, to get the answers we need, to find the relief, right? Another thing you could do is you could just go outside, take your shoes and socks off and walk barefoot in the grass. Again, you're just noticing, what does it feel like? Is it cold? Is it a hot day? Is the grass rough? Is the grass lush and green? What's that feel like? Is it damp? Is it very dry? Just noticing that. It's another great way to bring yourself back here into the present moment with these sensory grounding exercises. And then we have cognitive grounding exercises. And this is where we're using our mind. We are taking ourselves from a negative thought loop. Maybe you're saying something to yourself over and over again that is not nice, that's not kind to you. And maybe you need to shift that, right? So one thing that we can do is to actually just create a mantra. If we catch ourselves in that negative thought loop saying something about ourselves, then maybe we want to say something instead like, I'm good enough, or good things happen to me, or I'm safe. So whatever it was that was distressing us, if you are feeling, overwhelmed, stressed, scared, whatever it might be, find something that kind of comforts that feeling. And if it's scared, you would maybe say, I feel safe. I am safe. Declare that. And by saying that, you snap yourself from the negative thought loop to the present moment into a better thought. Another thing you could do is to count backwards. So we don't normally count backwards in our day-to-day. We might say 3, 2, 1 to start something, but we're not counting from a high number backwards. So you can choose 100 if you want to. I like the number 27. It's just a number I like. So I would count backwards from 27, and I would say 27, 26, 25, 24. About 4 counts in, you're naturally going to start taking a breath. So now you're bringing in that physical, the breathing exercise as well. So you're taking these two things and sort of combining them and bringing yourself into this present moment, grounding, centered, balanced place. In the act of counting backwards, you're asking your brain to do something it doesn't normally do, which completely stops this negative thought loop, shifts things, brings you into the here and now. Another thing you could do is you could just do a puzzle. You could do like a Sudoku or even a Rubik's Cube, something that is taking your mind off of that negative thought loop. It's giving you something else to think about. We can't be focused on the negative thing when we are working on something else, when we are, in this concentration on another thing to be solved. We're going to bring ourselves back into the present moment. And when you do that, you're going to notice a change, because that is where you get your clarity. I'm going to keep saying that over and over because I want you to really hear that message, that in order to break that cycle, the thought loop, the negative thought loop, we have to be in the here and now. We can't be in the past. We can't be in the future. We have to be in the here and now. That is the goal. And so these are just some grounding exercises that you can use to make that happen. There's so many more, but feel free to reach out if you're like, hey, this was helpful. I would love some other ideas. I could give you some more. Maybe I'll even do another video at another time, adding some more to that. And again, back on my website at jennifer-riggs.com. The EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, tapping videos are there, and there are other great resources, as well as my book, Free from the Cage, which is all about emotional processing and how we can find our way to change our mindsets to live the life that we really, truly want. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.